We're good now.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhara
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari
Gopijana Vallabha
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari
Yashodanandana
Yashodanandana Pradhana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Pradhanarana Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Prem Sikha Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudeva Guru Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shankar Giri Govardhan ki Shri Vrindavan Dham ki Shri Mathura Dham ki Mayapur Dham ki Navadvip Dham ki Jagannath Puri Dham ki Tulasi Devi ki Bhakti Devi ki Samali Bhakta Devi all glories to you, Swami. Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Is this the verse now? Fourth candle, chapter 26, text number 6. That's the mark of the book. All right? Because the bookmark thank you.
The bookmark?
It says 4:26:6.
Yes. It is 6 today.
Is this broadcast on YouTube at the same time? Anybody know? Tirteshu pratidrishteshu Raja Medyan Pashun Vane Yavadartam Alam Dudo Anyad Iti Niyamete Tirteshu Pratidrishteshu Rajameyan Pashun Vane Yavadartam Alam Dudo Anyaditi Niyamyate Tirteshu Pratidrishteshu Rajamedyan Pashun Vane Yavadartam Alam Ruddo Anyaditi Niyamyate Tirteshu Pratidrishteshu Rajamedyan Pashun Vane Yavadartam Alam Ruddo Anyaditi Niyamyate
Tirteshu Pratidrishteshu Rajamedyan Pashun Vane Yavadartam Alam Lubdo Anyad iti niyamyate
Tirteshu Pratidrishteshu Rajamedyan Pashun Vane Yavadartam Alam Lubdo anyat iti niyamyate.
Tirteshu pratidrishteshu
Tirteshu pratidrishteshu Rajamedhyam Vishnumbhane Yavadartam Malam Lubdo Anyaditi Niyamyate. Tirteshu pratidrishteshu Rajamedhyam Vishnumbhane Yavadartam Malam Lubdo Anyaditi Niyamyate. Tirteshu,
Tirteshu,
in holy places.
in holy places.
Pratidrishteshu,
Pratidrishteshu,
according to the direction of the Vedas.
according to the direction of the Vedas.
Raja,
Raja,
a king.
the king.
Medyan,
Medyan,
fit for sacrifice.
fit for sacrifice.
Pashun,
Bashun,
animal.
animals.
Bane,
Bane,
in the forest.
in the forest.
Yavat,
Yava,
so much as.
so much as.
Artam,
Artam,
required.
required.
Alam,
Alam,
not more than that.
not more than that.
Lubda,
Lubda,
being greedy.
being greedy.
Anya,
Anya,
one may kill.
one may kill.
Iti,
Iti,
thus.
thus.
Niyamyate,
Yamyate,
it is regular.
it is required. Regular.
Purport, translation. If a king is too attached to attract the deity of flesh, he may, according to the directions of the real scripture on sacrificial performances, go to the forest and kill some animals that are recommended for killing. One is not allowed to kill animals unnecessarily or without restriction. The Vedas regulate animal killing to stop the extravagance of foolish men influenced by the modes of passion and ignorance. Purport. The question may be raised why living entities should be restricted in sense gratification. If a king, to learn how to kill, may go to the forest and kill animals, why should a living entity who has been given senses not be allowed unrestricted sense gratification? At the present moment, this argument is put forward even by so-called Swamis and Yogis who publicly say that because we have senses, we must satisfy them with sense gratification. These foolish Swamis and Yogis, however, do not know the injunctions of the Shastras. Indeed, sometimes these rascals come out to defy the Shastras. They even publicly announce that there should be no more Shastras, no more books. Just come to me, they say, and I shall touch you, and you will become immediately spiritually advanced. Because demoniac people want to be cheated. So many cheaters are present to cheat them. At the present moment, in this age of Kali Yuga, the entire human society has become an assembly of cheaters and cheating. For this reason, the Vedic scriptures have given us the proper directions for sense gratification. Everyone is inclined in this age to eat meat and fish, drink liquor, and indulge in sex life. But according to the Vedic injunctions, sex is allowed only in marriage, meeting is allowed only when an animal is killed and offered before the goddess Kali, and intoxication is allowed only in a restricted way. In this verse, the word niyamate indicates that all these things, namely animal killing, intoxication, and sex, should be regulated. Regulations are meant for human beings, not for animals. The traffic regulations on the street telling people to keep to the right or the left are meant for human beings, not for animals. If an animal violates such a law, he is never punished, but a human being is punished. The Vedas are not meant for the animals, but for the understanding of human society. A person who indiscriminately violates the rules and regulations given by the Vedas is liable to be punished. One should therefore not enjoy his senses according to his lusty desires, but should restrict himself according to the regulative principles given in the Vedas. If a king is allowed to hunt in the forest, it is not for his sense gratification. We cannot simply experiment in the art of killing. If a king, being afraid to meet rogues and thieves, kills poor animals and eats their flesh comfortably at home, he must lose his position, because in this age kings have such demoniac propensities. Monarchy is abolished by the laws of nature in every country. People have become so degraded in this age that on the one hand they restrict polygamy, on the other hand they hunt for women in so many ways. Many business concerns publicly advertise that topless girls are available in this club or that shop. Thus women have become instruments of sense-gratified enjoyment in the modern society. The Vedas enjoin, however, that if a man has the propensity to enjoy more than one wife, as is sometimes a propensity for men in the higher social orders, such as the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, and even sometimes the Sudras, he's allowed to marry more than one wife. Marriage means taking complete charge of a woman and living peacefully without debauchery. At the present moment, however, debauchery is unrestricted. Nonetheless, society makes a law that one should not marry more than one wife. This is typical of a demoniac society. Om Agyanat Timirandasya Ganandana Shalakaya Chakshura Militanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swa Padantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravane Pracharane Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namani Gora Tushe Namaha. Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate, Gopesha Gopika Kanta, Radha Kanta Namostate, Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe, Vrindavaneshwari, Vishabhanu Sute Devi, Pranamami Hari Pre. Just going back here to the last paragraph. Prabhupada is really understanding what's going on in the world. If you ever drive from Georgia to Florida, right? They still have all those signs, topless, bottomless, adult entertainment. So that makes the kids think, well, I want to do that, because you have to be an adult. But it's actually demoniac entertainment. But big signboards are advertising this. And now these things are widely available. So they restrict. Of course, men are not capable of taking care of many wives in this day and age. Very rare. And no one could do it like Krishna. Krishna had 16,108 wives. but they all had a palace, and he was home with them, each one of them. Anyone else, no matter how many palaces they could provide, they can only be in one at a time. Then the others will feel neglected or look for something else. So it's become a it's Kali Yuga, and these things are just symptomatic of Kali Yuga. So our mission is, Lord Chaitanya, is to drive out Kali. Wherever there's, the chanting of the holy name, the four regular principles, and Kali can't stay there. But it's hard to find places like that. Just in our temples, and some religious societies have these regulations, but mostly they don't have all of them. Meat eating is still there or something. So we're trying to educate people, uplift the consciousness of the world by the chanting of the holy name, so that people, like, I was hearing a report, and ISKCON has about 5,000 cows in the world, and 4,000 of them are in India. So we're not, really big on physically taking care of cows. But if we can, elevate the consciousness of the world, then more and more people would take that up. Or, already there's more and more movements to stop meat eating, stop animal slaughter. But they don't know what to do, really, with all the animals. But Vedic culture gives knowledge. But that complete change where people live in a farm and have a few animals, and they plow the field with a bull and they use the fertilizer. Now I just heard that there's supposedly a shortage of fuel, and so the prices of all the oil and gasoline, everything's gone up, which includes fertilizer. They have so many cows in the world, but they don't use the best fertilizers, cow dung. They don't use that. They say it's something bad, And they have these petrochemicals, very big business. And so the cost of fertilizer has gone way up. And then the farmers are driving tractors. The cost of fuel for the tractor is going way up. So that affects everybody. Either they can't afford to farm anymore, or the prices of the food go way up for everybody. So it's a madness, and there's no solution, political solution or anything like that. The only solution is to uplift the consciousness. So Lord Chaitanya's golden age is meant to do that. This is mentioned many times. Even Arjuna went in the forest with Krishna hunting, and it was animals that were fit for sacrifice, but also to regulate the forest, to balance the population in the forest. They knew what to do, they knew scientifically. There is a perverted reflection of that nowadays. They have hunting permits, and you can only hunt certain animals at a certain time, and one hunter can only get so many. So they have some idea like that. But then sometimes the government will eliminate some sort of animal that they think is a predator, and then that throws the whole balance off, and everything else gets screwed up. Or they bring in some kind of other predator that will kill the one they don't like, and then this one becomes worse. So they don't know the real science, and they're just constantly changing their laws and constantly changing their ideas. We see different stories about that. I think this is Yellowstone Park. They eliminated all the wolves, and everything got really messed up. they started putting wolves back, and then all of a sudden all kinds of other animals came, and all kinds of things started growing. These yogis that promote sense gratification are mentioned here. We don't follow anymore. There was one really famous one that, he really encouraged her. Supposedly, ultimately you want to give up, sense gratification, but in order to do that, first you have to be totally saturated by unlimited sense gratification. Then you'll be able to give it up. That usually doesn't work. It might work for a short time, somebody's exhausted, but they'll recover and they'll want it again more and more. But they publicly advertise, they get a lot of followers. You don't have to control your senses. All you have to do is think of me or give me donations. Not only yogis and swamis, all kinds of priests, monks, pastors of other churches. They don't care for scripture at all. They're just promising people money. They're promising more sense, because money means more sense gratification. You can enjoy more. I will just bless you. So people are demoniac, they want to be cheated. Prabhupada gave different examples of that. One was women think that to have a son from a sadhu is, auspicious, so they go and try to seduce sadhus that are meditating somewhere. So then men who are lusty dress up like sadhus to get these women, so they're both getting cheated. I heard in Hawaii, these Japanese boys would come, and the first thing they asked the local people, where's the pakalolo, the famous marijuana of Hawaii. So the guy will give him a big thing, but he gets home and it's just a peat moss or something, it's not. So he goes back looking for the guy and tries to accuse him of cheating, and then his 5 big Hawaiian friends come over. You see, my friend cheated you. Can't go to the police. So people, they want to be cheated, they're getting cheated. The biggest cheating is to teach in the name of religion when it's not religion. Or even problems with the scientists, they're perceiving everything with their imperfect senses, and then they're teaching it, they're broadcasting it as this is perfect, but we all have that tendency to make mistakes and have imperfect senses, and then cheating. Cheating is a very strong propensity. So human society has become an assembly of cheaters and cheated. You want to be cheated, so you want cheap, you want a good thing for a cheap price, so you get cheated. It's a very common thing now. So many things are advertised, especially on the internet, and being so spectacular. And they're not. They're not what they say they are. But that's just for physical goods, so what to speak of. So many promises that this will cure whatever problems you have, and they list off all the problems. Some is in the name of spiritual. We were going to one thing in Bangkok called Spiritual Fair. The first time we went to it, it was new, and it was a little bit crazy place, these aura reading cameras and stuff like that. And then gradually, there were quite a few Buddhist monks there and everything. Then it turned into just a place with all the latest vitamins and drinks and things to cure all your ills. And practically nobody even pretending to be spiritual. But they call that spiritual. So So in this day, and because everyone wants to enjoy, so even Narada Muni criticized Vyasa. You're giving all these yagyas, you're giving people the chance to enjoy, but this is what they want, so you're actually cheating them because you're not giving them. Of course, the Mahabharata and all the Puranas, they do have a lot about Krishna or Vishnu, but they have everything else too, how to enjoy in the material world. That's the main thing. So Krishna tells Arjuna, Triguna Vishaya Veda. The three Vedas are mostly dealing with the modes of nature. But Nistrigunya above Arjuna, you should rise above these modes, you should think of me. And so Bhagavatam is Amala Purana. Amala is pure. Doesn't have any, it condemns, in religion it's materially motivated. Not condemning any particular religion. It's condemning the motivation of why you follow this religion. For material gain, then that's condemned. Dharma project at Kaitavo, Nirmatsanana. This is for the pure in the heart, those who are not envious. And so it throws out all nothing, it's all bhakti, nothing else, Lord Chaitanya said. When Devananda Pandit asked him, what is it all about anyway? It's all bhakti, there's nothing else in the Bhagavatam, really. Some can get distracted, and maybe a little bit in there about kings like here going hunting, but it's always to show that it's not a good idea, that it turns out to be something difficult. So everything is supposed to be controlled. So now the government does license, right? They call them licensed. Sometimes they don't say liquor shops, they just say licensed something. They license selling whiskey. Now they're licensed in New York, we see that marijuana sales everywhere. The whole park is flooded with entrepreneurs selling marijuana. Whiskey shops are licensed because the government gets money then. It's not to restrict it, it's to promote it. The more they can promote it, and they license it, I guess, so they have some control that it's not some kind of toxic, poisonous, directly poisonous brew somebody makes, but they want to make money from it. That's why they try to control it, not to control drinking. Of course, they make prostitution illegal, but in the Vedic culture, they had a ministry of prostitution, and it was controlled, and then, it was all right. Even in Japan, it was like that till the Americans came, and the prostitution was only in certain places. It was controlled, and then they made it illegal, and it's everywhere. But you can't stop it because people are lusty. They want to enjoy. They want sex, and you can make things illegal, but it doesn't stop. People have to be educated. They have to be trained, and that means spiritually they have to be uplifted. If you just say you can't do something, like sometimes when people tell us, oh, you can't eat meat, right? Oh, you can't go to a movie, right? No, we can if you want to, right? But we don't want to. That's the difference. I can't understand that. Why would you, give these things up? Now and just, used to be only when we went to concerts for book distribution. Now just in the park, they offer to smoke because they don't know what else is all they know about. So these things that Prabhupada stressed, all our people, we ask them to give up these 4 things: meat eating, intoxication, gambling, and illicit sex. Everybody knows it's bad. but they keep thinking, we can somehow get away with it. Most violent crime is intoxicated people. A lot of theft is, from drug addicts and alcoholics. Sex, unrestricted sex means abortion and a divorce actually. So many problems and so many diseases. And when I first went, as in this society, we would go to some school sometimes, and the first question was, how can you live without meat? Where do you get your protein? Do they still ask that? I think most people know now, but then that was a big deal, so we tried to explain to them. Then after a while, more and more people were vegetarian. Even they were asking, but then somebody would say, well, what's wrong with sex? And I was with Vishnu John Swami when he said, well, there's a lot of diseases. He said it like in a really nice way, and everybody just didn't ask about it anymore. But they have a name for it, sexually transmitted diseases. But they somehow just say you can have safe meat eating, you can have low-fat eggs or something. They're just so demoniac. So that human beings are regulated. Animals are regulated by nature. The cows generally eat what is food for cows. They don't go hunting in other places. Dogs eat, what's suitable for them. Different kinds of birds eat different kinds of bugs even, everything is regulated automatically. But humans are higher. They're omnivores. They can eat anything. They can do anything they want, anytime they want. They have to learn to be regulated. By force, it doesn't work. People get mad. People do it anyway. But if they get elevated spiritually, then they can automatically regulate their senses. Animals have a season for sex. It's not like just all the time. But humans, they need to be told what to do, and they have to be purified, otherwise they don't want to do that. So all the regulations, we see so many traffic regulations, everywhere, so many things. People complain about all the, the 4 regulated principles. If you go to a park, there's a long list of things you can't do in that park, right? Isn't it? No fire, no dogs, no this, no that. No. So many things are listed. Don't do that. So it's just natural, because it's good to restrict us from doing things that are not good for us. And when the humans are educated, humans are meant to protect all the other animals. Like we're talking about, hopefully, about cow protection. It's much more than just, keeping a few cows. Ultimately it means using the cow for, everything about the cow, using the bull for, the bull for so much work they can do. People don't want to believe that. Like in this area, we see these Amish people. They don't have tractors, right? Do they? But they're very big producers of organic food with horses. So it's not that it can't be done, right? They're doing it. And somehow or other they're maintaining that lifestyle. But that's real protection. Child protection means not only physically protecting child, many people do that. They try to do that. I was surprised. Somewhere, just yesterday, I saw a sign that said, yeah, coming when we stopped at the rest stop on the highway, coming out, there was a thing about, human trafficking, in Pennsylvania. It's supposed to be only like in Mexico or something, but it's everywhere. Kidnapping. Ever since I can remember, they have on the milk carton, picture of some child who's been kidnapped or disappeared. So, but protection means more than just physically protecting, providing food. It has to give spiritual knowledge. Otherwise, it's not really protected. It's not protected from birth, death, disease, and old age, or Maya, or protected from sinful life, which would lead them to more and more trouble. So this purport is constantly saying you have to be restricted, you have to be controlled. And we need to focus on that. But that means chant the holy name, get purified. So Prabhupada is stressing so much. And I was reading yesterday one purport, and the last sentence, Prabhupada just said, so our people, they go out as much as possible and publicly, chant the holy name so that people can get benefited. People like it. People get enlivened. If you can get them to chant like Mahavishnu Swami is always doing, they get so much benefit. Because they're doing it, just without any, exact offense. They just do it, because someone asked them to. So they get some benefit. And the more that people hear the holy name, the more. And this is purifying the whole world, purifying the atmosphere of the world. Lord Chaitanya's golden age is just starting. So, the Kali is fighting back very strongly and trying to promote more and more of these sinful activities. But the holy name will drive Kali back. So we want to be very strict in our life and our communities. Just things that are happening, like even to us. Prabhupada said, by distributing prasadam cooked in ghee, people will give up meat eating. Right? But now we have to give vegan prasadam. No ghee, no butter, no anything, right? So at least it's prasadam, but it's not maybe helping the cow protection in the long run. But demons have so many different things going on, and they're always blaming somebody for this and that. But it's just Kali. The enemy is not some political party, it's not some, this or that, it's just Kali. And to defeat Kali, the revolution, the real protest is everything we do, deity worship, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Harinam Sankirtan, publicly as much as possible. So devotees are, by Krishna's grace, more and more, we're able to do that with the internet, to reach the whole world. Some classes, devotees get thousands of people, many get hundreds. But we don't know. It's still purifying the atmosphere even if nobody's listening. We can broadcast louder than just putting a speaker on the roof like the Muslims do, and blasting in the morning. So a few people can hear that. But when we use the internet, it can go all over the world. One of our devotees in Ghana, he just started out preaching on the radio in the local language. But people from that language are all over the world, and somehow the radio reaches the whole world. He's become very famous. By like that, starting with these little radio shows, and then now he, of course, uses the internet, travels all over the world, big gatherings. So it's something like bridge preaching, but actually it's he's making devotees also. Not everybody, but they're reading Bhagavad Gita, they're hearing the philosophy properly, following Ekadasi, all kinds of things. And some are actually, taking up full-on practices. But all because you can reach the whole world by this media, so we're very fortunate. But still, meeting people face to face is very important. And association, sadhu sangha, but direct association. But any kind of association is good, but direct person to person is especially good. So it's our mission, and we can't, we don't want to take over the government. That we're not ready for that. It's a very difficult job, and it would require, way too much. Because even someone gets into office, they don't really have so much power to do anything. But the chanting of the holy name, the spreading of the transcendental literature, and in teaching, associate with people so they read the books. To provide places where they can come. Gita Nagari, Prabhupada, and it's a place where the Gita is sung, where people can come and not only hear the Bhagavad Gita, but live the life. Prabhupada said it, at least we heard, when they finally asked him, what do you mean by Varnashram? Because he was talking about going to America at that time, even though he couldn't travel. He said, I would go to Gita Nagari and I would teach them to live off the land. That is Varnashram. So I'll leave it now for comments. I'm sure Mahavishnu Swami can say something. Personification of Harinam Sankirtan. Navina Narada, the book distribution Acharya, one of them. Do they have a microphone? We have a microphone.
Sorry I'm late, but I was also thinking from Bhagavad Gita that the Bhagavad Gita says
Take the whole thing. Take the whole thing.
And Bhagavatam says that if you perform the Sankirtan Yajna, you perform a Sankirtan Yajna, then it's very influential because Sahayagya Prajasvistva Puravacha Prajapati Anena Prasavisidam Eshavo Vishva Kamadup. So the Eshadevan, the demigods also conscious of what we're doing. So we may seem to be very insignificant. Okay, we're going on Harinam, a few people, we're distributing some books, and we're chanting Hare Krishna, we're distributing prasad. And we think, well, what power do we have? We're just insignificant Hare Krishna movement. We don't realize, according to Bhagavad Gita, the demigods are pleased. And the demigods are controlling the weather, they're controlling the sunlight, they're controlling the water, controlling everything. So it's not like that we're alone, a minuscule ISKCON. But we're actually pleasing the demigods who are controlling the whole planetary systems, everything. Of course, they're devotees of Krishna. So what Krishna says that this will bring prosperity, solution to all the problems of the world, because demigods are on our side. So for me, this is an impetus, that we're doing a yoga. It may seem very small, we're chanting Hare Krishna, but it's being amplified because it's a sacrifice. And devotees are doing this all over the world. So the demigods must be pleased. So they must be making arrangements for, the demons to be curbed down. There's a place on Navadvip Manda Parikrama, I forgot the name of it now. If we do the Sankirtan Yajna, the demonic principles of human society will get curbed down. So similarly, we're all over the world, we're doing this Harinam Sankirtan, distributing books, distributing prasadam, having farms, having, so many things we're doing. This is pleasing the demigods because it's sacrifice. So I think the future is very bright. Although we tend to think, negatively, there's so many bad things in Kali Yuga. Actually, the best thing is this Sankirtan Yajna, because it will fulfill everyone's desires. It ultimately will fulfill everyone's desires because the demigods are on our side. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki. That's my comment.
Okay, that's a good one. And we're pleasing, whether there's visible results or not, we're pleasing Prabhupada, right? And with Chaitanya, and that means everyone, not only the demigods, but the Supreme Controller. So even if some people don't like it, which is always the case, because there's always demons, and any great preacher in history has been harassed by demons, right? And they try to stop it. But Krishna always wins. Krishna is always victorious. So by our little work here we're doing, a few cows out of, it's insignificant number compared to how many cows are not being taken care of properly. But the numbers are not everything. The numbers of books we distribute is not much compared to bestsellers and all these different things, and right? Or the kirtan melas we have is very tiny compared to. In Japan, sometimes it's rock and roll, and 200,000 people at one concert. But that's just polluting the atmosphere. But the power of our little work is so huge. It's it is holding back Kali Yuga if you think about it. But so many things are starting to happen. A little bit of the regulative principles. It's all due to the chanting of the holy name. People are praying to God anyway, even if it's for sense gratification. That's better than just cheating or robbing, stealing. There's a vegetarian movement. There's no cruelty to animals. It's something. The mode of goodness is kind of creeping in. They have nightclubs without whiskey. They're still dancing the same stuff, but they just drink fancy fruit drinks and stuff. And people like it. So we need to this is the cutting edge. The cutting edge is not the biggest thing, but behind it, other things can go, like if they have an icebreaker ship or something. So it's one ship, but it breaks the ice, and then lots of other ones can go through that same area. But the other ships can't break the ice. So it's the Sankirtan movement which breaks the ice so that everything else can function behind it. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gitanagari Bhaktavinda ki jai. Cow protection ki jai. And that means also prasadam distribution is part of cow protection. Because that makes people give up meat eating the more they get prasadam. Hare Krishna, Hare Shri Radha Damodar ki jai. I was partially responsible for sending Radha Damodar here. Yeah, they were with me in Louisville. We had a little preaching center. From the bus, we had the bus also, but we were staying there. And then I overheard a trick I had learned from Tamal Krishna Maharaj. We had the internet phone, so every time someone else was talking, I would listen. And the Pujari was making a plot with New Vrindavan to kidnap Radha Damodar and bring him back there. So they were going to wait till they had the temple ready here, which was a long ways off at the time. But so they sent Radha Damodar right away here. So that's how they got here as soon as they did. And they're being taken care of very nicely, much better than we were taking care of. But they did enjoy going out on, on Harinam. They liked that. Jai Shri Radha Damodar ki jai. Gaur Premanand.